Did you know in 2019, the median household income in the US was 68,703 smackaroos? And of course, our average wage in 2019 was about $51,916.27. So the question is, what kind of house can we buy with the average income? Believe it or not, this is one of the most common questions I get in the channel. Javier, I make this much money, so how much can I qualify for? Or how much of a house can I get? And of course, off the bat, I have to tell people that it's completely subjective to what state you're in, because, you know, in the Midwest, you might get a really nice house with a $2,000 payment. And in California, you might get a nice box for $2,000 monthly payment. So it really depends on your state and your situations. In today's video, what I'm going to do is I want to show you, using the average income or the median income in the United States, how much of a house can someone with this income qualify for. So let's first clarify what does not affect the amount of house or monthly payment you qualify for. These are very common misconceptions that get thrown around a lot, and I want to make sure to clear them up before we begin. For starters, your credit has nothing to do with how much you qualify for. Sort of. The higher the credit score you have does not equate to more purchasing or buying power when buying a house. The only thing it will do for you is have you be able to qualify for more options with better interest rates, therefore reducing your monthly payment because your interest rate is cheaper, therefore making you able to squeeze a little few extra dollars out of your monthly payment. Therefore, for the fifth time, having you able to qualify for more of a house. So having an extremely high credit doesn't mean you're going to qualify for an extremely high amount. I've seen people that have a 600 credit score qualify for way more than people with a 700. However, if you're only in the 600s, you might be able to go FHA. And of course, FHA has a price limit, whereas conventional has a higher price limit. So yes, it does affect your ability to qualify and your purchasing power, but doesn't really, you know, really narrow. But if you don't qualify for enough, it doesn't really boil down because your credit's not high enough. So how do you figure out how much of a house or monthly payment you qualify for? Well, you have to figure out what your DTI is. DTI means debt to income. And what you do is you essentially use this formula that I'm now presenting in front of you to figure out what your situation is. So if we break this down even further, really what it boils down to is all your minimum monthly payments that are on your credit. You add that with the monthly payment you qualify for. You divide that with your gross monthly income, and these numbers cannot exceed the max ratio that the loan you're qualifying for. Now, if you look at this formula carefully, you're going to notice that we have all of these numbers except for one, and that is your monthly payment you qualify for. We know all your minimum monthly payments on your debts. We're going to know your gross monthly income. And we know based on the type of loan that you're trying to qualify for, what's the max ratio that they allow. So we have all these numbers in play. So we're missing just one. So what do we do to find that one? We do a little algebra. So what you can do at this point is you can get a pen and paper out, or you can actually scroll down in the description. I do have a free printable that has this page, and it has, if you have like Adobe Acrobat, you can actually type in the numbers and it'll do the math for you. So if you want to check it out, it's free. All you got to do is put your email in. If not, all you need is a paper and pen to follow along. So now we can start breaking down how we find out each one of these numbers. So first and foremost, let's start off with the minimum monthly payments. This is pretty simple. Whatever comes up on your credit, figure out what the minimum payments are going to be for the things on there and add them all up. We're not adding your power bill. We're not adding your cell phone bill. We're not adding the money you give to your baby mama, as long as it's not government mandated. I mean, you do have to add child support, but you know, the money you give to your baby mama cash, you can't add there. Essentially anything that pops up on your credit. Some things that do not pop on your credit that you have to add are tax installment plans. Once again, no utilities, no rent, nothing like that, just that. So what we're doing is we're using the minimum payment, not the normal payment that you usually make. A lot of people like say, hey, I have a $40 payment, but I pay $100 a month. We're using $40. That's it. If you have a credit card that you pay off every month, you don't have to add anything because clearly it's going to be paid off, so we don't have to account for it. So we're only adding things on your credit, and we're only using the minimum monthly payment. Once we have all that added up, we add it, and that's going to be your number right here. If you have no debts, then that's a 0. Congrats. You're amazing. Round of applause. So then we're going to add that with the monthly payment we qualify for. So in this case, we don't know what the monthly payment we qualify for is. So we're going to call this X. So if you're doing this on the paper, it's plus X because we don't know what this number is. This is the number we're solving for. We're dividing that against your gross monthly income. Now, here it can get very easy or it can get very tricky here. If you're on a W-2 salary wage or hourly wage, you're essentially, as long as you have 2 years of employment, you can just use the last few months of your pay stub. And if you did switch job positions or you switch job fields recently, I think all they need is a few extra pay stubs and you'll be solid. The beautiful thing about being W-2, it depends who you ask it's beautiful or not, is they use your gross monthly income. So look at your paycheck and you see the number at the very top that you're making? That's the number they're using to qualify you. They're not using the money they actually take home. They're using the money that's at the very top. So if you get paid twice a month, then multiply by 2. If you get paid once a month, it's only 1. So basically figure out what your gross monthly income is going to be, and then you put that number down there. Now this is where we get sad and tricky. If you are self-employed, unfortunately it's not that simple. First and foremost, self-employed people love to write everything off, and it's going to bite you in the butt now. They use your net income. For the last 2 years, what they do is they look at your taxes, they look at your net income for both years, and they find the average of both numbers. Meaning if you netted 100K last year and you netted 50K this year, they're only going to give you 75K of income. And once they find out that net average income for the last 2 years, they divide that by 12, and that's what they use for your monthly payment. They don't care that you're having a baller month or last month or a baller year. This is where you have to do some maneuvering, and I know people that actually have to file their taxes differently for the next 2 years where they actually show an income rather than just showing a loss. So talk to your lender about that one if it gets kind of tricky. And on top of that, it equals the debt to income max ratio allowable for the loan program. So this is pretty simple. If you're wanting to go conventional, it's a 0.50 is your max ratio. If you want to go FHA, you can go up to 0.56. Now here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want to buy at your max ratio. Remember, they're using your gross monthly income if you're W-2, okay? So you're not actually using 50% of what you take home. If you really think about it, they might be using closer to 60 or 70% if they're only using 50% of your gross monthly income. So you never want to buy at your max ratio. So yes, we're going to figure out what your max monthly payment's going to be, but try to be conservative here and don't just say, hey, I barely qualified for $2,000 a month, so now I'm going to go buy a $2,000 house. And let me give it to you guys straight. Your realtor and lender do not care about this, okay? They're going to close you out. They're going to get their money and you're going to continue to live in your house and they're not making your payments for you. You're making your own payment. Put your big boy, big girl pants on. Make sure you don't put yourself in a bad position, okay? You ask the financial gurus out there, they'll say 20%, 30%, 35%. That's up to you to go figure that out. But I'm just telling you now, we're going to figure out our max ratio, but don't use it. Don't qualify up to it. Now that we have this all into the formula, we have to kind of work it around now to solve for X. So how do we do that? Well, if you don't remember high school math, I did the math for you. If you're using the worksheet, all you gotta do is scroll down. It's right there. If you're not using the worksheet, let me give you the formula. So basically it becomes X equals your gross monthly income multiplied by the max ratio for the loan program you qualify for. And once you find out that number, you subtract your debts from it, your minimum monthly payment debts from that number. Once you do the math together, then you figure out the monthly payment, the max monthly payment that you qualify for. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put that in practice. So for this case, we're going to use the average income of $51,916.27. I hope that we stay around there for 2020. I'd be curious to see what happens there. Feel free to follow along with me if you have the paper in front of you so we can kind of learn together and figure it out as we go. So first, let's figure out what the minimum monthly payments are going to be. So on average, from what I see from the hundreds of people I help, everybody has about 2 credit cards and a car payment. Okay. Sometimes they don't have the car payment, but they'll have a student loan. Sometimes they have no credit card payment, but they'll have a car loan and a student debt. It's so variable here. But in this example, to make things nice and easy, I'm going to say 2 credit cards and a car. Okay. So the 2 credit cards are, let's say $500 to $1,000 balances each. Well, they're going to be usually about $35 of a minimum payment. So we're going to say $35 each for each card. So it's a total of $70 for the card. And I'm going to say that their car payments, like $300. So if we add the $70 plus the $300, we get $370. So $370 is going to be the minimum monthly payments total added up. By the way, guys, this is also why it makes sense to not just start paying things off crazy. Because if you have $1,000 balance on a card, you go pay that off and all you really did is save $30-40 off your monthly payment for what you qualify for. Now, yes, it's great to pay off your debts, but when it comes to the purpose of qualifying for more of a house, that $1,000 would probably have been better used towards closing costs or a higher down payment. So then in this case, we're going to use the gross monthly income of basically the average wage. So what I'm going to do at this point is we're going to do $51,916.27. That's the average income gross. So then we're going to divide it by 12. That income is $4,326.35. Well, 36 cents technically. And in this case, we're going to use a conventional loan, which is going to be max ratio of 50%. So now we plug in all the numbers in the formula, or in this case, the formula has been rearranged to help solve for X. First equation we do is your gross monthly income multiplied by the max ratio. So in this case, it's 4,326 and 36 cents multiplied by 0.50. And that equals $2,163.18. So if this person had no debt, they would qualify up to $2,100.63 with 18 cents. Right? Well, $2,163.18. Yeah, did I say that right? Okay, I hope I did. Okay. So if they had no debt, that's what they would qualify for. But they do have debt. They have $370 worth of debt. So then that means once you reduce the $370 worth, they qualify for only $17.93.18. So remember, this is your max ratio. This is your absolute max ratio. That's scary. It should scare you. You shouldn't just buy that amount. So if we were to go back and try to figure out what's 30% of it, which is more practical for a budget, so that's about $1,300. So with this average income, if this person had no debts, they could qualify for as high as $2,100. But really, budget-wise purposes, they should only be qualifying up to $1,300. So that way, it's only 30% of their gross monthly income instead of the half of it, essentially. So it's kind of a sad thing here, and this is where you really have to put your big boy and big girl pants on here, because yeah, if you qualify, let's say you have no debt, you qualify up to $2K here in Arizona. I mean, you're getting a pretty decent house. You're getting a nice house that 4-bedroom, a nice area, pool even. Golden statue of Javier in the front, all, carne asadas every weekend from your realtor, all kinds of great stuff. $1,300 is going to get you more in the first time home buyer range, where, you're going to have to settle on some things like you won't have the pool you want, you won't have the air you want, etc., etc. So this is where you have to be extremely careful. This average income can get you a really nice house in some areas of the country, but it can also get you a very standard house. And the right decision is to go with the standard, not the super nice house. So to answer your question, if this person had about $300 to $400 worth of debt, they only qualify about $1,700 to $1,800 a month, or really $1,000, $900 to $1,000 with 30% at TI, which is the TI. If the average income person has about $370 worth of debt, they can really qualify up to $1,700 if at their max ratio. But if they were to be a little smarter and buy with 30% of the ratio, so that way they have room to grow, then they're only qualifying about $1,000, which is not a lot. And not a lot of places you can get a monthly payment like that. You know what? This just gave me an idea for a video. Here's what I'm going to do. So let's say we're dumb and we buy at a full 50% max ratio, which is $2,100 a month. I'm actually curious now, and I'm going to do this video right now as soon as we're over. I'm going to go look around the country and just figure out what kind of house I can buy with that money. Let's go look in Cali to see how nice of a box I can get. Let's go see in Arizona. Let's go see Midwest and the East Coast. I just want to get a good sense of the different parts of the country and what I can buy with that. Now, once again, I don't recommend you go that high, but I'd be curious to find that out. So if you want to watch that video, if it's not popping up here next to me, that means hasn't been released yet. But while that video is getting made, I want to ask you guys this. Were you guys surprised by the results? Did you think that you were able to qualify for more with the average income? Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what you qualified for and how your home buying experience has been so far. We'd be curious to learn from you guys' situation as well. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Have a good one.